So I was a recent graduate. I had just graduated with my master's degree in clinical psychology. Did not have my first job yet. I was actually still living in Michigan in, with my mom. And I applied for the job and luckily got it and moved here to Chicago for the job, actually. And it was my first job, and I thought I was going to be doing amazing things, and was getting into a career being like doing humanitarian services and like so naive, like rescuing these kids and really helping them process the trauma they had been through. The first thing, that the kids' personal belongings were taken away. Not many of them came with a lot of stuff, but what they did come with was taken away from them, and it was locked into a storage closet, and they didn't have access to it. So they were issued like brightly colored sweatsuits, and they were issued plastic sandals, then chanclas with one little strap over them. And it was never explained why. And I didn't initially question why, but I know the kids were told, like, this is for your own safety. I'm trying to think of other examples of this. The communication with families, why they couldn't call their families whenever they wanted to. It was always about, this is for the safety of all of you, because we're not sure that your family or whoever you're calling is really who you're calling, right? These were stories we were told, that these kids were in danger and they needed to be protected by us. So no one could know where the shelters were located.
So did you question any of this in the beginning?
I didn't. I was so naive. And I think that's the part that I'm most ashamed about, is I didn't question anything when I worked there. In the beginning, I didn't question anything. I just followed the rules. I did what I was supposed to do.
Would you talk to the children that you worked with about their families and their relationships to their families?
I would.
Did you get a sense that most of them had families that were harming them or abusing them?
No. In all of my time working there, I never encountered any child that was abused or harmed by their family. The abuse and the harm that was reported to me came from government officials.
Did any of those children express to you that they were seeking protection from their families?
No, never. It was always they wanted to be with their families. They were taken away from their families. And I think that this is an interesting, not interesting, that's totally the wrong word. Fucked up. This is how fucked up Heartland is that they use this narrative about protecting these kids. The kids don't need protection. They have their families. They need to be allowed to be with their families. And Heartland is just making money from prolonging the process of them being with their families.
So the other justification Heartland often gives is that nobody knows where these families are. In your experience being with the kids, did these kids not have families or not have any semblance of how to contact them?
No. The kids know where their family are. They know how to contact them. I'm trying to think. There were 2 cases of my whole time working at Heartland Alliance where the kids had no family that they were in contact with. One was a kid, he had pretty severe mental retardation, and he crossed the border with his older brother, and his older brother was killed by ICE agents right in front of him. And yeah, so he had no family. ICE took his family. The only other case I knew of a child who had no family contact was the one I already spoke about, the boy looking for his sisters, and they fought very hard against him getting contact with his sister.
It turned out not to be so hard to find the sister.
Right. I mean, imagine being a kid who has gone through trauma upon trauma upon trauma getting here, some of them seeing family members killed, some of them being separated from family members once they reach the border, and all of a sudden they're in this strange place with a bunch of strange people. They have no idea where they are. They have no idea when they're going to see their family or speak to their family. And everything they do is being controlled by people that they don't know and they have no trust relationship with. And then they're being forced into this like unnatural schedule and forced to do chores and forced to like go through this schedule and offered very little support. Therapy sessions aren't by request. They're kind of like mandated, like you have to go talk to this therapist, and you don't have a choice. If there's more than one therapist at a center, they don't have a choice of like what therapist they're meeting with, or where in any regular situation with a therapist, like you need someone that you can build a trusting relationship with you, and someone you click with, and that doesn't happen with every therapy relationship. But here these kids are, they have no other choice. And I've been in other mandated therapy situations because I worked as a therapist with DCFS cases later on in life. And still, like even with the mandated therapy that way, the client, the kids, have way more control over the session. When I would ask information about their family situation, it was all secret. Like, you don't need to know that. That's not you're not a family reunification specialist. Well, what if I want to bring the family into the therapy session? Like, what if I feel like that's part of the treatment plan that would be best for this kid? Or the trauma that I see that they're dealing with now relates to trauma being separated from the family. So let's have phone calls with the family during therapy. No, nothing. It wasn't about what was best for the kids. It was about, like, I don't even know. Why did Heartland have therapists there? To force on these kids and to say that they're providing these services, I guess. I don't. They try to make it seem like these shelters are like a home away from home for these kids. It's a different type of prison. It's a prison with bunk beds instead of tin foil. They're still there against their will. They're still being ripped from their families. I also feel like something that Heartland doesn't advertise, and something that in general the public isn't aware of, most of these kids that are here alone aren't alone. They have families. They're coming to meet with families. They have been living here their whole lives with families, and they're taken and separated from those families. And then being at a place like Heartland just perpetuates that. It just prolongs the process, because Heartland can say, they can make it seem like they're doing a favor for these kids, like they're protecting these kids and they're doing right by these kids, because look at the alternative people. They could be on the border in these cages and fences with tinfoil blankets, when I think the real alternative is they could be with their families, and we as a government don't need to be intervening.